Welcome to What the Hell Happened This Week. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Dustin.
I'm feeling much better this week. I was deathly ill last week, although thank you, Dustin, for saying you couldn't tell. Made a full recovery and ready to dive into another crazy week. But
Yeah.
I think we're going to start out by talking economic numbers because I know we're in this like weird time where the economy is really hard to interpret. It's really weird right now because the stock market just continues to go up, 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 new 52-week high every week. But the foundation, the data underneath is the cracks are starting to show.
Yeah, I would say they've been showing, the stock market took big dives back in April and May because of, tariffs just are crazy and they're so backwards and illegal. Um, it's of the doubt. I've noticed, thinking that things are just going to be fine with this, or thinking that he may just like all of a sudden stop the tariffs and all that. Um, I think it's key to realize that, in my opinion, he's not really doing the tariffs to help the economy at all. So I think a lot of big investors and stuff think that, oh, well, Trump, he for sure won't stick with him because, will hurt the economy or whatever. He's just using it as a negotiation tactic and all that to fix the economy. But to me, it's about more than that. It's about power and having other countries bend the knee. And I worry that if there's cracks in the market, which is what we're seeing, that may cause him to double down and make it even worse. So I don't think he'll stop. I think he'll just continue to make it worse. And I think that's where we're at right now. And we're starting to see it in the data.
Yeah. Julian Peck talked a lot about this back in that interview with Ezra Klein back in March. And it's all about paying tribute. It's all about collecting tributes for Trump and trying to have leverage over his perceived enemies. Because I don't think he actually believes in America having allies. I think he just wants to dominate over everyone and try and demonstrate that dominance. That's what this is about. And then, also I think with the stock market, yes, people are giving him benefits of the doubt. They think he's playing this some like 4D chess. They still think that he's like a mastermind of all this.
Yeah,
And
it's like he's supremely confident. It just shows how crazy markets are. Like if you just act supremely confident, like people easily follow you and believe you.
but also I think it's this the reality is the companies now they're mostly AI companies and the healthcare companies that are doing well, but his policies are very loose for corporations. They're able to get away with a lot more, and
Sure.
um
Yeah.
and I think that's a big part of it too, which a lot
Mhm.
of people would say, well, isn't that great? Isn't that great? The problem is, and to
Great
your
point.
point, I don't think he cares if the economy starts going away. I think if anything, if the economy starts showing signs of a recession, he's just going to force the Fed, Jerome Powell, out and decrease interest rates to kind of do a false increase in the market because the markets will respond positively to that in the short term. But what all of this is creating and what the numbers are showing is irrefutable evidence that inflation is growing, jobs are down. And you can only conflate that so much. You can only exaggerate and pretend like those are not issues for so long. When people don't have disposable income or not even income to provide for their family to put normal groceries on the table, when they have no extra money to uh, travel or, for entertainment, the economy will start to shut down. That there's just no way around it. And the numbers are showing that, um, it's just a perfect example of how the stock market and economy are linked in a lot of ways. But I think what we're experiencing right now is a perfect example of how many ways they are not linked.
Yes, so many great points there. I think, yeah, so many people are just tied into, well, stocks will do well if there's just massive deregulation and tax cuts.
Right.
Um, and that just kind of fixes everything. Um, and, it may help stock prices in the short term, because people will think, well, because they'll pay, 5% less taxes, maybe that'll add, 50 cents to the stock price or $3 to the stock price, so that adjusts. It does affect it a little bit in the short term, but, that's not the stock market. Again, like you said, depends on the consumer and the people that live in the United States that make up the economy, that we are able to buy these things.
And let's not forget the majority of Americans who invest are still upper middle class, mostly upper echelon citizens that already have high incomes and can afford inflation and stuff. So, just the fact alone that the market is going up is not a good indicator of the overall economy for most, uh, middle income Americans and low income Americans. It means nothing to them.
Yeah, and I think um, what we're seeing, especially today, this morning's news with the job numbers, because those job numbers uh, were pretty good here the last couple months, which has allowed the stock market to run up here the last couple
Mhm.
months. Like, oh well, jobs are still doing good, so the tariffs must not be hurting anything.
Mhm.
But the biggest news today was what we saw is they've revised all those job numbers from the last couple months, like way down 258,000 jobs,
Oh, wow.
which is the worst negative downward revision that we've had since 1979. So it
Other
appears
than
that,
April 2020, right?
yeah, I guess. Yeah, I forgot what the 1979 thing was, but it just shows that the market's inflated because of the job numbers, and now we're finding out that they weren't true. So, the Republicans uh, blamed Democrats last year. Marco Rubio, they were saying that Biden was cooking the numbers because there was a revision that was not nearly as bad as this. And they're like, oh, Biden's cooking the numbers.
Right.
But
I remember that.
there's actually, which was complete bullshit. Revisions happen sometimes. So I don't want to put all blame on Republicans with this one, but it is definitely more fishy because a lot of economists, and we're seeing is a lot of these changes that like these economic bureaus that give us these statistics, they've been laying off a lot of people and putting a lot of stooges in place. So
Mhm.
it appears now that there actually is real fears that they are cooking the numbers. Um, and so this kind of shows like, okay, did they do that on purpose or not? Because that's a big downward revision. And I'm surprised they kind of let it out right now. Maybe they're letting it out because the market was higher. I don't know. But it's raised a lot of questions, and it's making the economy very unstable right now. And I was reading an article the other day, I think it was in New Republic, where they're talking to a lot of economists that they're starting to not trust the economic data. And this is what we see in a lot of dictatorships, like in China. They're known to for years now had to cook their data and release what they want to. And it appears that we may be heading that same way. And we also got the GDP number in the other day as well, which it came out like looking pretty good. But then what we realized is there was a giant fall in imports, okay, because of the tariffs. And I didn't realize this because I never dissected GDP numbers as much, but imports going down adds substantially to the GDP number. To me, I think that's a big problem. It shows that GDP has a lot of flaws in it, but the
Mm.
fact that it can make our economy look really strong just because we haven't imported because of these tariffs is really covering up a lot of problems.
Yeah, that's
And I think
interesting.
and I think people are starting to see that too. People are now dissecting these numbers. Like you take away the imports, and the GDP numbers look pretty bad. And now with his job numbers coming in, which is some of the worst job numbers that we've had in a long time, and now at the same time, he's accelerating the tariffs. He's not learning his lesson. And the Federal Reserve keeping interest rates high. They just decided a couple days ago that keeping interest rates high for longer because of the tariffs. We probably could have had a rate cut by now.
Yeah,
Because of these tariffs, well, so it's almost a perfect storm is brewing.
and from what I deciphered is that it seems like Powell probably would have increased rates, judging for him personally. He kind of assumed like we're not decreasing right now, and almost like y'all are lucky we're not increasing it because it's so bad.
Yeah, yeah, just staying still was kind of his way of like, okay, Trump, you're doing some very inflationary things. We probably need to raise interest rates. But again, there's economic data showing that we should lower interest rates because people are having a hard time buying a home because mortgage rates are too high and insurance rates are too high. So people can't afford to buy a home in the housing market, which is people's largest assets that they own. The American people are topped out, and we could have a big housing market drop. So to me, it looks like if Trump wasn't doing this tariff shit, we wouldn't be in this scenario. It would allow the Federal Reserve to look at the numbers, prepare, and probably lower interest rates and continuing a good market economy. But Trump can't help himself because he cares more about, in my opinion, cares more about power than anything and carrying on his con, which is kind of working in the short run because, again, that con is allowing stock prices to stay high. It's allowing him to do his inside trades for so he's releasing announcements about certain tariffs, and every single day people are pointing. If you look at the unusual whales on Twitter, they're always reporting inside trading deals. Big whales coming in and making trades right before his announcement and right before he makes another announcement. So people are making
Blatant.
millions and millions of dollars on these inside trades. And to me, he's turning it into what people have always feared about the stock market, turning it into a casino and corrupt people taking advantage of it. And it's just sad to see um, if 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 this market and this economy does falter and we go into recession. To me, it looks like we likely are going to go into a recession. We may already be in one. Um, all these companies that have a lot of people in AI. That's another thing. AI is doing very well right now. That's kind of driving the stock market. What happens whenever we have a recession? What I usually see, and I've said it before on here, is companies, large companies, use that as an excuse to lay off more people, and it accelerates the recession because they have AI now, and they probably want to lay off a lot of people right now, but it's not good publicity. But in a recession, they're able to. So to me, I there's a lot of cracks showing, and I
Just like
just
the supply channel stuff during COVID was a perfect disguise for corporations to increase prices, not due to supply chain issues, but just because they could, because the demand was elastic.
absolutely, yep. So I just released my polyeconomic mid-year outlook. Just came out before we went live. If you ever want to look into, because I kind of make some predictions with it. It's hard to predict the economy, but I let people know kind of like what's happening. What are the tailwinds, the positives, and what are the headwinds? And I sent out a New Year economic outlook, and this is kind of revising it. And you can see a lot of the stuff I talked about at the beginning of the year, things I worried about with the new administration, have come true. Uh, and we haven't even talked about immigration. That's another underpinning of the economy that they seem to be shooting themselves in the foot with. But please go check out my mid-year Substack outlook.
Yep.
Talk
You
more
can find
about
on
this.
Substack or our website, thegenerationwealth.com. And so back to inflation, I was just watching that New York Times coverage on, I mean, Louisiana is the main hub for these deportations. we have like all of these detention centers within 100 miles of this Alexandria airport, and they've got it set up like a business. They modeled it after FedEx, but they said instead of cargo, we're moving human beings. And you can track these people were tracking the flights. I mean, the staggering amounts of individuals being shipped out. They don't even know probably where they're going when they get on the plane, shackled in the hands and at the ankles. Like, is that really necessary? Is that really necessary? Our farmers and our, uh, labor workers, are they all, they're not all criminals. They're
No,
just
it's like they already
malicious.
showed like 70 to 90%. This like huge number percentage are not criminals at all. They're now just trying to pad the numbers to show their base that they're deporting people, and they're deporting everybody, people that we love, people in our community, breaking up families, deporting grandmas, deporting U.S. citizens, okay, military members, business owners, and like you said, just sickening
It's
seeing them marching. Um, they that New York Times article had them, had some journalists go down to the Alexandria airport, which Danielle is 45 minutes from our house. We're over here in Lake Charles, Louisiana, in the
I
center.
just
It's
I feel so
really
ashamed.
sad.
I watch that in shame for my
It just
state.
makes me sick. And learning that all of these new prisons and immigrant detention centers have been popping up because here in Louisiana, um, we do so many things wrong, but we know and we love building prisons. Okay. And just the way that they
Well,
described it too, like low pay labor, cheap land. I mean, all the things that have screwed our economy and
friendly
made people
judges,
leave,
friendly
friendly
politicians.
judges, backward racist judges. Like, we got it all. They've been like cooking Louisiana to make us the most repellent state. People want to move away. Children don't want to stay here. There's not many jobs, not good paying jobs. People's land isn't increasing in value. There's no development. And it just seems to be perfect for this ICE uh, immigration Trump thing that they got going on, and it just makes me sick because um, that we're getting worse and worse off. It's just like you said, just makes me so shameful that
Yeah,
this is
watch
happening in
that
our
in
state.
shame. I mean, what's their game plan here once all of the hospitality and farmer workers are deported? What are they thinking? I know they've been talking about like, oh, well, remember Trump had that moment at Alligator Alcatraz talking about how, well, maybe they won't ship some out and these people will stay under the ownership of the corporations. Talking almost sounded as if he was roundabout talking about a new form of slavery for these people, because of course we don't want to ruin the corporations who are profiting off of this illegal immigrant labor. Of course we can't let anything happen to them. So what's this way around? Oh, well, they can stay here but have no rights and be under the ownership of corporations. it I've heard talk about that, but I haven't seen any real plans. And meanwhile, Stephen Miller and the czar have these unrealistic quotas. I mean, he wants to ship out, what is it? A million. The quotas are just disgusting, disgusting amount, arbitrary. Really,
Yeah,
there's really
and
no rhyme.
the $100 billion in new ICE budget. I mean, now they're paying
That's
ICE
All of
people.
that is completely frightening to me when I hear about the budgets that ICE is getting is terrifying because you and I both know it's not just about the deportations. I mean, this is a military state that they're funding.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that will probably just seeing Louisiana double down on this to where we're turning ourselves into a type of blood economy, which we have that in our past. So we're very used to that. Um, yeah, and they're paying off student loans and things like that. Um, yeah, it immigrant labor again, aside from the humanity of it, just of what they're doing to the immigrants in America, is very detrimental to the economy. what they're doing. And what are they going to do, you ask? What they always do, deflect. Um, they're not going to take accountability for it, and they're going to blame somebody else. And that's where we're kind of in a vicious cycle. That's my big worry of the Trump administration is as things get worse, they know how to double down, scapegoat even more, and gives them even more of an incentive to scapegoat and hurt other people as things get worse and worse and worse. It's a kind of a downward spiral. So I have no doubt that they won't take any accountability for it, especially if the economy falters. They're already setting it up by trying to blame the Federal Reserve, trying to blame Obama or Biden. Um, they'll blame everybody else
By
except
the
them.
way, it's so funny that Trump is attacking Powell on these renovations to the Fed when they're simultaneously building a ballroom at the White House. Okay, that meme you posted, uh, equivalating Caroline Levitt to that character on Hunger Games. Be ever in your favor is like perfect. It's so perfect. The Capitol and all of the
Yes.
little districts. It's just getting out of hand. And two things I saw this week that were continue to be concerning to me, but are signals is Columbia University folded. They're settling with Trump, and it's like if our education institutions can't stand up to him, who will? And then the Smithsonian taking out Trump's impeachment
Yeah.
trials. Like I can't. I
It's so Orwellian.
It's so Orwellian, and we're watching it in real time. And it does
Just
feel like right now, it feels it's this daily coming to terms mentally with there's not really anything we can do until midterms. And then on top of that, w- are midterms going to be legitimate because
yeah, they're literally yeah.
he's been looking at state election systems like it's it feels like it feels like we're all helpless because like nobody's standing up to him and nobody can get past anything. Nobody can pass any type of bill. I mean, I saw Chris Murphy tried to even just pass a bill saying, okay, Trump can accept that giant plane, but he can't take it with him after the presidency. And they voted that down. It's like, not to mention the Epstein stuff, it just feels like nobody is standing up to him. And if people in power are not, and even places like the Smithsonian can't, Columbia University can't, what the hell can we do? It
Yeah.
feels like I feel very helpless, and I don't. I know a lot. Most of us listening to this hate that feeling.
Yeah, and that's the main weapon that they use against the population when their weakness is people power, and their primary weapon is to make us feel helpless. And that's why they target um, institutions like Columbia and Harvard and CBS, that are these American institutions. They target them on purpose to make them fall, to make us feel less and less secure. And it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And, growing up and learning in history about, what happened in Germany and other places, that led us to all these world wars and everything. And we're living it in real time. We never understood how it could happen here, and it's happening here. And this is how it goes. So we have to study how we came out of some of these things. And, it makes me mad too, seeing
How we
that.
came out of it, we went into a world war and
I know.
dropped nuclear bombs on people. Like, God, it's
Yeah. And that's what worries me the most, is because we're kind of uh, devolving. It's a vicious downward cycle that's leading us
yeah.
to worse and worse things.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, like you mentioned, the 2026 midterms, the gerrymandering now, like
Yeah.
we have to fight back as a party. You know, people in Louisiana right now, they eliminated the independent party, so a lot of people are no party now. I encourage people to join the Democratic Party because we're really the only team that is fighting this. And we've made a lot of mistakes as a Democratic Party, but we need the new members in there to help us change it and fix it. And gerrymandering is the perfect example of this. You know, the top 10 most gerrymandered states in the United States are Republican states.
Mhm.
Look at Louisiana, everywhere. It's all Republican states. Like they should not have the majority in Congress as it is. The problem is we, again, always, the Democrats always try to set an example, all right, a positive example, a good example for U.S. citizens and our way of government, and the Republican Party takes advantage of that. Okay, so while we have set up independent commissions to be fair, we've handcuffed ourselves to prove a point that we're more fair. And we did
Mhm.
that in all of the states in California and New York, and we make sure and give the Republicans their due seats. You know, the Republican states don't do that at all. They've been straight up gerrymandering for decades.
Yeah.
And now they're doing it, they're going even further, like basically kicking out every Democrat in the state of Texas um, because Trump made a phone call. And they do not give a damn. They're just cold-heartedly doing it.
They do
They
not.
don't just not give a damn.
It's on
And
full
literally,
display
I mean,
too.
they got 45% of that state consistently votes Democratic, and they're trying to get rid of just about every single congressman over there. And Gavin Newsom and other states are right. They better get with it because, um, again, if we would have gerrymandered, none of this stuff would have been happening as it is in Congress. None of this would have been allowed. We would have a Democratic Congress. We would have stopped the tariffs. We would have stopped ICE. We would have stopped all this stuff if we would have played by the rules that they said, which is no rules at all, apparently. So if we want to fix gerrymandering, we got to go all in with it too and gerrymander just like them. And
Yeah,
if they don't like that, then hey, let's have a law and set some standards for Christ's sake across the
exactly
country.
what that's typically how things have to happen. They have to get worse until things get so bad that you have to put it into law, federal law. And I just got to, I'm just happy at least Gavin Newsom is the energy that he's bringing, the I don't give a fuck, like I'm going to fight fire with fire. Like he seems to be one of the only public Democratic figures actually taking that route. You
Yeah,
know, the
yeah, I think
writing the firm letters, nobody's accepting that anymore.
yeah,
That's why the Democratic Party's in chaos because we're just like desperate for heroes to stand up and start fighting back, like actually fighting back with the same weapons that they're using. That's the only way out of this. And I hate to say that. That sounds it's anti-democratic, right? I mean, just what you described of Democrats trying to play according to the rules and be fair, that's democratic processes, while the
mhm,
Republican Party was doing anti-democratic um, actions. Gerrymandering is anti-democratic.
yeah, and we've gotten blamed for everything. You know, there's a meme that let's like everything is like blame Democrats. Uh, but you know, they use it against us when we set an example, a positive example of how we think the law should be, that think districts should be um, drawn fairly. The Republicans have proven that they could use it against us, be a bad actor, hurt democracy, um, steal democracy, and then blame us for everything. And
Mhm.
then we sit here and blame ourselves as well. Now everybody hates Democrats more than anything. So it just showed that what we've been doing, constantly being nice, constantly trying to set new examples, has gotten us in the worst hole in American history, at least in the last 100 years. Um, so to me, that's not just I don't think we should get up on the Democratic Party. Of course not. We're all that's left. It's time for everybody to step up and change it if you don't like the Democratic Party. Not just not just talk shit about it or beat it down. The Republicans love when you beat down the Democratic Party. We love playing both sides of everything.
Mhm.
Because we will if we bash the Republicans and we bash the Democrats too, we beat up our own brand so damn much over the last 20 years. It's time that we all step up and we fight like hell. And look, if you're no party, if you're young, I understand why you've been no party, but there's only two teams at play right now. And please get out there and join us. If you don't like it, make it better. We need your voice in here at this moment
Yeah,
uh,
because
to 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 fix it.
whether people like it or not, not picking a team and standing on the sideline is a vote for the Republicans and an endorsement of what's currently happening. I wish it wasn't like that, but that
Yeah.
it's just the truth of the matter, the way things are.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, looking at registrations across the United States, okay, you have Democrats losing uh, more and more registrations, and Republicans gaining after everything that's going on. They're gaining more registrations. The worse that things get, the more that they're gaining. And yes, uh, yes, we have problems, but you beating up on the party, on the team, the only team that can stop this, is not helping anything. You have to suit up and get on the team. You can't do anything from the sidelines. We need you. We need the money. We need the ideas, and we need the fight because they are killing everybody by doing this.
Well, let's maybe end. I want to update on where the Epstein files are at. What do you think's going to happen? What's being brought as a bill to Congress? Like, what do you think is gonna happen?
Um,
I just saw today, like, we found out Trump's name was redacted from the FBI. Like, they did redact his name. I
I mean,
don't.
it's obvious he's all over
I mean,
the
yeah,
Epstein
let's get
files.
that out of the
He's
way.
he's
He
he's
is a
likely
child sex rapist. He is
He's
a
likely the
pedophile.
number one person on there. I mean, he's best friends with Epstein. There's like no doubt about it. Writing them notes. I mean, they're dancing together. There are pictures everywhere with him, videos. Their brother talks about him. Epstein is recording, talking about him, how the election would have been called off if they knew what he knew. I mean, it's obvious that he's all over it now.
Yeah,
That his base
he's a
understands it.
pedophile. He's
His base.
he's a rapist.
I mean, still we have video. I mean, we have women, 30, 40 women have come forward about him sexually assaulting them. There's been women that have come forward that were underage that have said things about him, that have sued him.
And, like, how
Uh,
many times do they have to say it? How many times do they have to come out and get in the public eye and say it again? I mean, God bless these women for continuing to do it. And it's like, why can't we just believe them?
so
Why we
I,
should be impeaching Trump on that right now.
I'll take what I can get. It's definitely uh, breeding through. It's running through his base, or at least people that voted for him that aren't in his base, that are swing voters, are seeing this. He can't run from this. So he will continue to distract and deny, by, talking about Hillary, Obama, the Federal Reserve, anything. He will try to get out of this. We have to zone in and keep hitting him on it because he's completely guilty. And um, what's going to happen? I don't know. I don't know, Danielle. But justice will come for
I know
him
that they're
eventually.
hopefully, I feel like they are hoping that during this break where they're break for summer, that it'll just go away. They're probably working behind the scenes right now trying to get everyone to shut up, from the podcasters to the congressmen and senators. But I hope it continues to rear its ugly head. For history has proven that, especially for um, these insidious, diabolical situations in our past, they always reveal the truth. The truth, I have full faith the truth will prevail in this, barring them actually throwing papers in the trash or burning them. I hope we don't have to wait another decade to find out. I hope we find out within the next year or two, but I have faith that the truth will come out.
I think we need to push. So a couple things that have happened recently that uh, I've stood in on. There was polling released that I got to sit in a meeting on that, Louisiana statewide polling on things, and it's good and bad. The good is kind of what I was talking about, how people were really upset with Republicans, even in Louisiana. They're upset with Jeff Landry. They're upset with all of them, really. Um, but the problem is, when asked if they would vote for a Democrat, they said they would still not vote for a Democrat. Again, that is the problem. Our brand has been destroyed. And so I'm also at the same time consulting and talking to a lot of our Democratic nominees for Congress that are coming up in 2026. Most of them haven't announced yet. A lot of announcements are coming on Labor Day and afterwards. So we're going to have some good people that are running against these Louisiana Congress people. And my advice to them the other day was, look, we all, as Democrats, we all got these great platforms, where we're talking about Medicare for all and investing in our people. And, we have all the answers. We have solutions abound. But the problem is people don't listen to us. Problem is Democrats trash our own brand at the same time as Republicans trash our brand. We have to do the same. Rachel Bidikofer, who wrote Hit 'em Where It Hurts, is one of my favorite books there is. You have to play negative partisanship. It goes into what I was talking about earlier, like how we don't play by the same rules. They play by the rules to trash our brand at every chance they get. And the fallout from that, the problem, what it does is it causes even people in their own party to trash their own brand, which is what they've done to us. All right. But we need to start doing it to them. Like, we need to go
Yeah.
after these Congress people for covering for Trump. Everything that Trump is doing is very unpopular. Okay. They don't, his base and all the Trump voters, they don't like blaming Trump. They'll blame Bondi or something. They don't want to blame him, but give people in the state something, somewhere to put the blame, and our
A
Congress
punching
people have
bag.
that blame.
We need a punching
Yes,
bag.
I tell them, you have to call them out for the Epstein cover up. Call out Julia Letlow in North Louisiana for the Epstein cover up. She acts like she's missed some Southern belle, acts like she's a moderate, but she votes for cover up every single time. She allows these tariffs, which are killing her farmers over there. The same thing with Speaker Mike Johnson, completely covering for Trump and all his bad deeds. That's killing Louisiana and killing North Louisiana, where he's a representative. Steve Scalise as well, Clay Higgins. I mean, they cover for all these things that are unpopular. We have to hit them and make people consider. Look, if they don't vote for, they may not vote for the Democrat, but if we can get them from going to the voting booth and voting for the Republican, that's a win. Okay, and at the same time, it's a good thing too. Um, so if you can get less Republicans to vote for him because they're ashamed of voting for him because they're doing terrible things, that's a win. Uh, but also, a byproduct of this is you're going to have no party people are going to like this. There's a reason they're not Republican. They think everything's corrupt as well. So if you hammer our Congress people for these cover-ups, you're going to get some attention from no party people, and you're going to get positive attention from Democrats too. So you go after them. You bring it to attention because these are very controversial things. Do it in public, and then when people are tuned into you as a Democrat running for Congress, then you hit them with the good parts of your platform. But you have to get people to pay attention. You're not going to get people to pay attention unless you call them out on all these
Yes.
misdeeds.
Yes. And I don't think anyone, at least in Louisiana, any Democrat has done that yet. Like, up until this year, it's been, let me just lead with the positive aspects of
It
my
doesn't work.
platform.
It doesn't
And
work.
it's not working, obviously. Now, tell me this, is every congressman going to be challenged next year in Louisiana?
Yeah, so we have 6 Congress people in Congress, and we have 2 senators. So one senator of our U.S. senators is up for re-election. It's Bill
Right.
Cassidy. John Kennedy is in 2 years because they have 6-year terms. But every congressperson has a 2-year um, length in office. So we already have 2 Democratic seats with Cleo Fields and Troy Carter. So we wouldn't need a challenger there. So we have 4 Congress people: Speaker Mike Johnson, um, Julia Letlow in North Louisiana, Clay Higgins, and Steve Scalise. And at the moment, we have a challenger for all 4 of those seats. I don't think any of them, or one of them, Tia LeBrun against Clay Higgins, has announced. The other 3, we already have people that are going to run. One, he hasn't announced yet, but Conrad Cable, a former out of North Louisiana, is actually coming to Lake Charles this weekend on Saturday. So if you're in Lake Charles, come meet him at the
You're
coffee
hearing it
shop
here
over there.
first.
Yeah, so Conrad Cable, um, uh, he actually gave a great speech at the Bernie Sanders rally in Shreveport, so we'll post that in our show notes so you can see him. So that just shows you we got some good caliber people running. We're young. Um, they're not people that have been in office for 20, 30 years, but some real fighters that know their stuff are going to take it to them. And we have to take the gloves off if we want to make a dent. So that's what I'm coaching
And
them
there
to
and
do.
there is hope as long as like the voting systems are secure and fair, which we have no option but to assume that they will be. Um, I keep thinking back to earlier this year, even just in Lake Charles, we elected our first independent. We knocked out a longtime Republican incumbent here in Lake Charles. Um, and if you look at any of the other like smaller elections around the country, um, it's been atrocious for Republicans, and there's been landslides for the Democrats. So I'm hopeful. I'm glad you're helping them with their campaigns and strategy, and it's going to be an interesting year watching the lead up to midterms.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish it was sooner. I
I
just
know.
wish, I wish it was sooner. It's like
And it looks like they're going to gerrymander Texas. If they do that, we better hope to God that California and New York does it, and Illinois.
would there be time to do it in
I
time?
guess so. I don't know. They all have different state rules on it, but it
That was
appears that
my
they all
question.
can.
That was my
Yeah,
question in seeing that is like, would they be able to pull that together in time?
yeah. It appears they can, but
Yeah.
time is running out, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. That's a wrap on this week. What the hell?
And yeah, and if you're, I'll be at Netroots Nation conference next week in New Orleans. Netroots is coming to New Orleans, so I'll be in New Orleans and doing a panel on state finances and climate change and things like that, and oil and gas and things like that. So please come out and see me if you're going to be at Netroots Nation or in New Orleans. Reach out to me, DM me. We're going to be getting people together, and we'll try to do our Substack live. We'll still get it
Cool.
done on Friday.
And I'll do a quick plug. Eventually, we're gonna do it. Hopefully in no later than September. But Dustin, you and I are gonna do a webinar. If you like going as when we go into detail about the economy, and helping you try and figure out what to do with your money and your investments, we're gonna do a webinar soon. I'll include a link for that in the follow-up notes, the email I send out. So make sure you subscribe to that so you can um, make sure you're in attendance for that or at least get the recording. All right, y'all. Have a good weekend. Stay cool and hang in there. And we'll see y'all next Friday.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.